Hello, I am Dr. Megan Moe, and I'm delighted to get a chance to work with you in the course this semester. I wanted to tell you just a little bit about myself to let you know who your professor is going to be this semester. First of all, I am a professor of communication at Lee University. I've been at Lee since 2005, so I've been here a pretty long time, over 2 decades, which is amazing. I've also taught at a few other schools as well, largely up in the Western New York area. I taught at Niagara University and Canisius. And I also taught where as a teaching assistant in my programs while I was a grad student. I did get my PhD from Penn State, so I was a teaching assistant at Penn State and I taught there. In fact, they say assistant, but you actually teach the entire class yourself. But that's where my PhD is from. And just in case anyone's interested, I have a very interesting dissertation, which has nothing to do with web design at all, but it was on Nicaraguan feminist dialectical theater. If anyone ever wants to talk about it, let me know. Interesting topic. It was back in the time in Nicaragua when women weren't allowed to own property, and when if there was a divorce, women would not get custody of their children. So theater was a way to introduce some new ideas about what's happening. And so about women and having basic human rights. And so that's what my dissertation was about, the use of theater to kind of teach about women as being human. I'm an advertising professor at Lee, so I'm in communication. Advertising is my specialty. I have students who win awards, do really well, and so I'm quite proud of all that they do. I'm also a Global Perspectives leader. I've taken the on-campus students on trips all over the world. So in the first one, we're on Mars Hills in Greece, which is where in the Bible, Paul stood on Mars Hill and gave a really important sermon, saying that, talking about the one true God. Then we have Morocco here, Australia, we're in Sydney. And the funny thing, when you go on a trip with communication and digital media students, a lot of my pictures involve students taking pictures because they're always looking at life through the lens of their camera. This was in Ukraine. We were able to go there in between the Orange Revolution, which was 2013, and then before the Russia started war on Ukraine a few years ago. And Argentina, and here we're in Greece again, and we're getting a fish pedicure. I have 3 children. I have Nathaniel and my oldest daughter Emma in the middle, and my youngest daughter Caroline. My son is a television technical director for an NBC station in Virginia. My daughter is a psych tech at a substance abuse facility, and my youngest daughter is a lab dissection manager at the University of Florida. And we actually went to Paris this summer, and the main reason we went to Paris was for this museum, the largest paleontology museum in the world. So that's what she wanted to do. I don't have any grandchildren, but I do have a grand cat here. It's my son's cat. I also have pets myself. I have a dog, Missy Marple, and I have a cat, Lily, and then I have one more grand cat, Delilah. As I mentioned, I don't have grandchildren, although I'm should be in my grandmother era. The Lord just hasn't seen fit for grandkids yet, but I do have nieces, not nieces. Yeah, my one niece has children, and I like to call them my grandnieces, and I like to pretend that I'm grandmother to them because they're fun and amazing. Now, back to talking about me as your professor for your web design class. As I mentioned, I'm an advertising professor, but I've been working with websites for a very long time. And I do approach it from this advertising perspective in that most organizations do have a website presence, and it is important to create websites that your target audience wants to visit, that they'll want to come, that they'll have an easy time when they're on there, that'll be interesting, engaging, and they'll want to come back. And so my focus is very audience centered, or user centered, which would be the term we'll use generally. So the people who are using the site, we want to design our website so that it appeals to them and that it works for them. So I'm looking forward to teaching you a lot about websites and having you practice, and hopefully we're gonna have some fun with this. It can be a little frustrating sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, but then isn't that true about most things, that if you don't already know it, that sometimes they're difficult and hard and we have to learn, and within a couple of weeks it won't seem as difficult, I think. One last thing I wanted to let you know is about my office hour and contacting me. I've included this document in Moodle for you. It gives my schedule just so you know when I have office hours and when I'm teaching. And anytime I have an office hour is a time that I will be regularly checking email and answering emails. I'll answer emails at other times as well, but just so you kind of know when they are. And I wanted to make particular note that on Tuesdays from 1 to 3, I will be having an online Zoom office hour. So I have Zoom that I'll just open it up and I'll wait on there. And if you need to talk to me, you're welcome to come visit me in the Zoom room and we can talk. And when it comes to like needing help with when we're actually in web design and you can't figure out how something works, we can share screens and I can try to help you that way. I'm looking forward to getting to know all of you as well. And I hope we have a great semester. Lord bless. Bye-bye.